Hi loves, welcome to Food Texture episode 3. In this series, I'm showing you how to draw food textures without concentrating on shape or form. So today I'm going to be showing you how to draw coconut shell, bread slice and kiwi half. Today I'm using Copic Sketch alcohol markers on Bristol smooth paper and also white colored pencil and a white gel pen. All the info is in the description box. Let's get started. Starting off with the coconut shell, and let's pick the colors first. The lightest color is light beige E21. The next one is light chocolate brown E23. Then mid-tone chocolate brown E25. Then darker chocolate brown E27, and the darkest one is E29. So this is an amazing color family of Copic with chocolate brown colors. Very useful for food illustrations. And for the textures, I'm gonna be using white colored pencil by Carandache Luminance. Let's suggest the light is coming from top left part. Now I need to make a base layer, and I'm starting with my lightest color E21 and applying it to the top left part. Moving to the next color, light brown E23. Going back to the previous color and making smoother transition. Grabbing to my mid-tone brown and keep layering. Making softer blend with previous color E23. And filling in the rest with the dark brown E27. Softening the blend with the previous color E25. Now I'm adding the form shadow with deep brown E29. Softening the blend with the previous color E27. So the base layer for this coconut is done, and now I want to add fibers. Grabbing my lightest brown E23 and adding hairs to the highlighted spot, making curved lines of various lengths and thicknesses. Don't forget to go over the edges of the coconut to give it more natural look. With help of my dark brown E27, I made a dark stripe along the coconut shell. Keep layering the fibers with my mid-tone brown E25 on the darker sections. Moving on to dark brown E27 and adding fibers on the shadowed part. Adding just a little bit more fibers with mid-tone brown E25. And now it's time to enhance the textures of those hairs. Grabbing my white colored pencil and adding similar strokes, mostly concentrating on the highlighted parts, but adding a little bit on the darker spots. Also adding those textures on the flyaway fibers. With help of my mid-tone brown E25, darkening those white stripes on the darker section. And now let's see how this coconut texture can look on an actual illustration. Here I've used the exact colors and the exact technique. You can see the same strokes and textures. And let's move on to the next texture, which is bread slice. And picking the colors, starting with the very light sand beige E40. The next one is a little bit darker E42. The next row is ochre beige colors. The lightest one E31, then E33, then the mid-tone E35, and the darkest is E37. Those sand beige colors are very similar to warm grays. If you have those, you can use them. This row of beige ochres is the most used in the food illustration. And for the textures, I'm also gonna be using a white colored pencil. So let's start with the base layer. I'm grabbing my lightest sand beige E40 and covering the whole thing with this color. I'm not trying to cover the area super smooth. In fact, I like to add even more textures. Adding dots in irregular motions for bread texture. Grabbing a little bit darker color E42 and adding those air pockets. Trying to make different sizes, some bigger and some smaller. Going back to my lighter color, adding more textures and blending some of the darker ones. darkening the holes on the crown with E42. Now let's move on to the crust, grabbing my lightest ochre color E31 and going over the edges. Grabbing a little bit darker color and adding textures with my E33. Going back to the previous color and smoothing the transition. Grabbing my mid-tone ochre color E35 and adding it to the top and to the right parts. Going back to the previous color E33 and smoothing the blend. The top part is usually more brown than the sides, so I'm grabbing my dark ochre color E37 and adding it to the top. Going back to the mid-tone ochre color E35 and blending those colors. Darkening some air pockets with my light sand beige E42. And now it's time to add some textures with my white colored pencil. Going over the crust at first, making dots and irregular motions for the bread texture. Adding dots and C-shaped textures to the crumb as well. And now let's see how this texture can look on an actual illustration. Here I have a rye bread toast. I've used the same textures but different colors and simplified those textures just a little bit. And now let's move on to the kiwi half. For the colors, I'm gonna be using 3 greens, light, medium and dark. The light one is G20, the mid-tone is G43 and the dark one is G46. For the skin, I'm gonna be using ochre colors that we just used on the previous illustration, E33 and E35. And for the seeds, I'm gonna be using dark neutral gray and 7. For the highlights, I'm gonna be using white colored pencil and white gel pen. With the graphite pencil, I'm gonna be sketching the center of the kiwi. It's an irregular roundish shape, highlighting the center with my kneaded eraser. Let's sign our colors, yellowish greens, ochre beiges and a neutral gray. And moving on to the coloring. For the base layer, I'm picking my lightest green G20 and covering the whole thing. And once again, I'm not trying to make the coverage super smoothly, I'm adding more textures. Sometimes I like to hold my marker further in the back so my motions are not that stiff. Moving on to my mid-tone green G43 and covering the whole thing except for the center. Grabbing my dark green G46 and making feathering motions from the center outwards, going around the kiwi center. You can rotate your paper for the convenience. And now with the same color, I'm darkening those lines near the center. Going back to my mid-tone green G43 and making those feathering motions blending the darker lines. Darkening on the bottom right spot and adding some textures as well. Adding the seeds with help of my dark neutral gray and 7. Placing them on those dark green lines. Making the dotting motions, some dots are bigger and some are smaller. Adding highlights with help of my white colored pencil and placing them between those dark green lines. Adding the base color for the skin with my light beige E33. The skin here is barely visible, so I'm just darkening the bottom right part with mid-tone ochre E35, adding this color to some other parts as well. Adding textures and highlights with help of my white colored pencil, concentrating on the top left part. Adding juicy highlights with my white gel pen, adding dots in irregular motions, concentrating on the top left part where the light is coming from. Adding more highlights between those dark green lines. And now let's see how this kiwi texture can look on an actual illustration. Here I have a fruit sandwich, and I believe I've used the same green colors as in this lesson. The only difference is the kiwis are peeled here. And there you have it, 3 food texture with alcohol markers for this lesson. These are coconut shell, bread slice, and kiwi half. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you would like to learn more from me, I am offering real-time video tutorials and easy-to-follow step-by-step photo guides on my Patreon page. The link is in the description box. Give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you would like to see more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now!